Okay, as folks be, I believe it became fairly common under the Bill Clinton administration. And that question was when Bill Clinton ran for his when he sought his second term. I believe Bill Clinton ran from 92 to the year 2000. So in 1996, when President Bill Clinton was seeking his second term in office, he asked a question which now resonates with most politicians seeking office. And that question was, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Meaning, after 4 years in office, Bill Clinton wanted to know, had he succeeded in turning America around? That's the question we're asking today. Were you, or better yet, are you worse off? An opposite question. Are you worse off under the Biden administration than you were 2, 3, 4 years ago? Has the implementation of President Biden as Commander-in-Chief of the United States led to a serious detriment of your finances, your well-being, and your security in general? Do you feel like America under President Biden is worse off? And if so, I'm inviting you to explain why and how. Obviously, we're paying a hell of a lot more at the pump. There's no denying that when you fill up your gas tank, you're not happy with what you're paying. But what about salaries? Under President Biden, there's a legitimate argument to be made that salaries have went up. Now we could counter with inflation. The price of goods and services have went up. But what about the overall tension in the country? Has that went up and down? How do you feel about Second Amendment rights, crime rates, etc., etc.? Do you feel like America is better off under Biden or worse? Would you prefer, if you had the power, to turn back time and go back to the Trump administration? And I'm asking this because right now, that appears to be our only two choices proceeding into 2024. Biden has stated that he plans to run again, and President Trump is making it clear that he also intends to be back on the ballot for Republicans. So we could see an exact runoff of what we've seen in 2020. So that's what we're asking. Do you feel like you would be better off if we went back 2 years, or would you rather keep things the way we have them now with Biden at the helm trying to strengthen the U.S. economy? And in addition, we're on the brink of war when it comes to the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. Under President Trump, are we to believe that he would continue backing the Ukrainians in the same way Biden has? Regardless of what you feel about the Ukraine, we have to understand that the only reason the Ukrainians are still in this fight is because of Joe Biden. If Joe Biden cuts off the funding to the Ukraine will cease as a nation. Period. Looking in the comments, Biden is horrible, says MC M. Clack. Horrible in what way? Give me some descriptions of why you believe Biden is horrible. Trump 2024, says D. Chad. Frank Juliet Bravo. I'm sure you understand what those acronyms mean, or those phonetics. It all started day one when he reversed and went with the Democratic game plan on gas, oil, and energy. Well, in regards to what Biden is doing on energy, I gotta say the jury's still out. Alternative energies is technology. Therefore, it is going to be expensive. There's a lot of Americans that cannot afford to go out and buy a $60,000 electric vehicle, as Kamala Harris might recommend. However, eventually electric vehicles are going to be the way of the future. We can be ahead of the game, we can be in the middle of the game, or we can be behind the game, because we are not the only ones in that industry. Biden has put us at the forefront of the industry. It's costing a lot of Americans money that they are claiming they don't have. So the jury's still out. That may end up being very beneficial to the next generation. So I don't know what to say on that right now. I just know right now, switching us over to alternative energies is hurting people in the pocketbook. So your comment is not misplaced. I understand that. Biden is stealing from Americans. Wow. Brandon for isn't to this. Oh, I don't know what the hell's all that. But how is President Biden, stealing from Americans? And I invite you guys in the box. I would love to hear that. As I say always, this is a MAGA-friendly program. I don't ban, I don't censor, I don't block. The idea that you have a different opinion from the host doesn't mean a damn thing at all. Come on in. I'll give you your time to get your spiel across. I'm going to go straight to the box, but I'm curious. How is President Biden, stealing from the American people? Kiss my grits from you again. Kiss my grits. Do you believe Biden is stealing from the American people?
I believe money is being allocated that is intended for American people and being sent to Ukraine, yes.
Okay. Well, so you don't believe
Biden alone is not doing it.
Who might be helping them?
Well, come on now. What about the bill that was done in the middle of the night through the Senate? Biden's not alone. Y'all got to realize Biden's not alone.
Fair point. So if Biden, so you're not a fan of sending money to the Ukraine?
No, I'm not. We need to get the hell out of there. We have no business in there.
So what do you think would happen with Ukraine if we stopped helping them out?
One or two things. They're going to stop the bullshit and putting Russia in a corner where they have to do the shit that they're fighting back for, or they're going to try and get along with them.
Well, how can you get along with a nation that's invading you and annexing your property?
Hold on. Hang on, because let's look into this a little bit further. Why is Russia in there? Because the people of Ukraine has asked Russia for help because of the neo-Nazis killing their people. So let's talk about that.
Okay, so you're suggesting that what Russia has done is to get neo-Nazis out of the Ukraine?
I'm suggesting that if Ukraine government wasn't so damn corrupt that they'd allow the neo-Nazis in their police and in their military killing the Russian people in Ukraine, that is what I'm suggesting. Yes, Russia would not be there. It's not not about them wanting to turn back to USSR and all of that other BS. It's nothing about that.
So do you see what Russia is doing in regards to the Ukraine is doing a favor for the Ukrainian people? They're actually doing that to help the Ukrainian people?
They are helping the East Ukraine people, yes. Because let's face it, the West Ukraine people is the one that's attacking the East Ukraine people.
Okay, but they're all Ukrainians. So if the East Ukraine people do not want...
They're Ukrainians only because of the land. Not by blood. They're Russian by blood.
Okay. So why is there no one else in the region that sees that sees things the same way you're saying?
It's not. Because I talk to people in Kakistan. I talk to people in all around those countries, the countries that's right around there. And they are for Russia helping those people.
And none of them are saying this on the public stage.
This is why I got my account like this.
Okay. So I understand what you're saying, but I'm asking you, why are none of those other nations willing to say this on the national stage, or the global stage rather, that what Russia is doing is helping the Ukrainians?
Because the same way no one of us wants to get on national TV saying our government is fucking corrupt itself.
We do that all the time. Everybody from Trump talking about draining the swamp.
Nope, that's one man. How many people? Okay, how many of us is actually going on national TV saying our government is doing wrong on what they're doing? Come
You've
on now.
never
Let's call
heard,
it as it is.
you've never heard Cindy Sheehan speak out against the war in Iraq. You've never seen
I
people
honestly don't know
protest
who that
against.
is.
Okay, and that's the point. You've never seen people get on television and say that our government is corrupt. Black people do it every day. All of Black Lives Matter is doing it. The guys taking a knee during the
Black Lives
game is
Matter
doing it.
was corrupt in itself. Come on now.
Okay,
Calling the
I'm
ghetto
just
black when they do it when they're corrupt themselves.
okay. Well, I'm just
Come
telling you.
on.
I'm just pointing out to you when you say you haven't seen a lot of people publicly speaking out in this country that our government is corrupt. I'm submitting to you that people do it every day. Joe Rogan does it. It's being done all over the place.
Okay, you got high profile people. I'm talking about regular, normal citizen, not high profile people. Donald Trump did it. Yes, he was the president. Okay, he was going after both sides of the corruption. That's why he's the most hated man in America.
Okay. What about all of his supporters that speak out against the government? Do they not count as regular people?
Do we honestly go on news? Do we honestly go on the news? No, no one trusts the news because they want to spin it how they spin it.
Okay, so if you are a regular person, as you put it, and you want to speak out against the corruption of the United States, and they're not going to put you on the news, as you put it, then how do you get credit for speaking out against the United States?
How about taking it to the government themselves?
Would
Like
January
what we
6th
tried to
qualify?
do. Like what we tried to do on January 6th.
Okay. With the Black Lives
It
Matter
was at
rallies all
least
over the country?
and look what happened. They burnt down parts of cities. Come on now. That's not how
Well,
you do it. And in fact, the people that went into the Capitol themselves, that's not how you do it. If you want to get someone's attention, you do not be destructive.
so how do you believe would be the proper way to get the government's attention?
And you got to bear with me because I am kind of sick.
Take your time. Take your time.
Like I said, you got to let your voice heard. And being destructive, no.
How
But
do
at
you let your
least
voice be heard without being destructive? I want your example.
you take it to the government. You
How?
take it to the Capitol. Like we tried to do on January 6th, but unfortunately, there were stupid people in there that went in the Capitol. And some of them wasn't stupid. Some of them was just grandmas trying to walk through the Capitol, but, they got prosecuted for it.
Do you think they deserve? Do
You
you
don't
believe
burn
what?
things down.
Do you
You
believe
don't go
those?
into neighborhoods and burn things down just because
Do
you're
you
not
believe
happy
those
for what you think.
protesters? Okay. Do you believe those protesters on January 6th that went into the Capitol building? Do you believe they deserve to be prosecuted?
If they did anything wrong. But
Did you
like I
see
said,
any
when
evidence from your?
grandmas,
Did you personally, based on what you have seen so far on the news or
I
whatever news
wasn't in
source you
there.
watch?
Only seen people
That ain't what
being
I'm
let in
asking.
through the.
That ain't what I'm
Okay.
asking. I didn't ask you if you were there. I'm asking you, based on all of the research and homework you have you personally seen any evidence of protesters doing anything wrong on January 6th?
Well, for one, where's Nancy's laptop?
That's not pertaining to the question I asked you. I said, do
That
all
is
your
pertaining
homework.
because it's theft, but you actually stole it. What happened
Okay.
to all the FBI agents that was part of that?
Okay,
You
but
know?
I asked you a question. You're presenting a question as response. So you're not answering the question that was asked of you. And that is based on all of your research and everything you've seen.
Do you think stealing
You're
the
still
gravel
asking a
will
question.
actually it, if they did something illegal besides trespassing, because I don't see how you could trespass on our property, okay, stealing, destroying things, yes, they need to be prosecuted. But just
Have you
trespassing,
seen? Okay.
no.
The question I'm asking you is based on everything you've seen from January 6th. Have you seen any personal evidence from your own eyes that would lead you to say that Capitol protester right there should be arrested? Have you seen anyone? that was in that group that was worthy of arrest from their actions.
When you're breaking through the outside glass trying to get in, yes, that's destruction.
Okay. So
Okay.
you have seen some folks
There
that
are
should have
people,
been
there
arrested.
are people that, yes, there are people that's done that.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Fair.
But now, when do they get a speedy trial? Because here it is, almost 2 years now, and they haven't even been to court yet. Some of them hasn't.
Right. Well, you don't know what deals or what's going on behind the scenes as well. I mean, you
I'm
just
talking
don't
about the
know.
people that has not seen the light of the court yet.
Yeah, like I said, you don't know if they're making deals and snitching on each other as a reason to do that. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You get what I'm saying?
True, but
All
you're going
right.
to tell me there's
I
people
mean,
that's
those
everybody that's in
people.
there. Hang on. Are you going to tell me everybody that's in there now has seen court?
I don't know. I
Are you
personally
telling
don't
me
know.
that they're getting the fair treatment that everybody gets when they're in jail? Warm water and heat and shit like that? How about
Ma'am,
outside? Do they get to go
ma'am,
outside?
ma'am, with all due respect, I'm a black guy. I know lots of people who don't get fair treatment in jail. I understand your point, but that is not something new pertaining to those January 6 folks. Jail treatment has never been fair or expeditious. It's never been that way. All of a sudden it happens to these guys, and well, shit, you got to do the system right. It has never been done right. So I get your point, but why now? I mean, the system has always been ridiculous.
Look, if they belong in there, they belong in there, okay? But at least
Yeah,
have the trial. At
yeah,
least have let them have their day in court. If they don't, then they don't need to be in there.
right. And
I'm
I
not.
don't go.
Look, I'm not for any criminal. If you belong in jail, you belong in jail. The fuck all
Yeah,
the other bullshit.
yeah.
Okay,
Well,
I've always been that way.
all right, fair enough. Hey, kiss my grits. You sound like you battling a cold. I got to move it on, but you know you always welcome back. You sound
I
like
got
you. Hopefully you
bronchitis,
get well.
honey.
Okay.
I,
Yeah, I just got. Oh, you got
I got
bronchitis. Okay, that's
bronchitis. I battle
all
it
right.
for like 3 months at a time. Yeah,
Okay.
that's rough.
Yeah, sounds like it. I just got over a cold, but I'm not dealing with
So
anything as strong as bronchitis. But hey, come on back. Hopefully everything gets under control there. You're welcome back anytime. All right. Look at comments real quick before we go back. What did that say here? Why do you gotta make it a black and white? Is all of a sudden, why can't she be American? Michael Holmes, fair question. The reason I'm making it black and white is because it's something being explained to me that I'm going to submit to you that being African American is something I've heard over and over again. That's why I brought up that I'm black. I mean, African Americans have been complaining that the system is unfair since the creation of the system. A lot of the things you're hearing folks complain about in regards to the arrestees on January 6th, you could have heard that from African Americans in the 1950s. That's all I'm pointing out. That what are we generally told? Don't do the crime if you can't do the time and all of that type of stuff. That's what I would assume pertains now. Now, I get the notion that, as the last caller was stating, they should be entitled to a speedy trial. I agree with that. But how many folks serve 3-4 years in jail waiting for trial? That happens all the time. That is why you now have so many states going towards the direction of cashless bail. Is because some of these liberal states, progressive areas, are starting to not like how many people sit in jail before ever being convicted of anything. What is the phrase? Guilty until, or better yet, innocent until proven guilty? You're supposed to have a presumption of innocence. Well, if a police charges you of a violent crime and holds you in jail based on a bail you can't afford to pay until your trial, what happens if you're not found? What happens if you're acquitted or found not guilty? Let's say you're accused of sexual assault or you're accused of a violent crime. Police arrest you. A lot of folks on the right want you to be given a very high bail. You're given a high bail and you can't afford to pay it. So you spend a year, 2, 3 years in jail, in the county jail somewhere, until your trial comes up. At trial, either the case is dropped, acquitted, or you're found not guilty. What happens to the 3 years you spent in jail under that high bail? Does that not matter? That is why you're getting liberal side of the aisle saying we should get rid of bail. Because essentially you were put in a debtor's prison until you went to trial. That's not fair for that person. But at the same time, we don't care about that person. We're more focused on, well, if we let him out, he might have reoffended. Well, shit, he was innocent. He was innocent. And that happens a lot. Going back to the box. Rick Nut 4-3. So the question is, are you better, or better yet, are you worse off now under Biden? Has things got worse for you than they were 2, 3, 4 years ago? If you could wave a magic wand,
completely good because he said I'm past.
and would you be doing better off? Rick, good afternoon.
They can't do that.
Okay, repeat.
Because they can extend it because your fine ain't
They
paid.
didn't extend anything.
Rick.
He didn't even know I was.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're on. Okay, so I'm assuming you've been listening to the program.
Absolutely.
Are you worse off now than you were 2, 3, 4 years ago?
Way worse.
How so?
You got depression, you know, you just let me see.
Irritable, angry.
All right, that was my wife. Just money, just, you know, bills. I mean, I'm working for nothing. You know what I mean? I'm going backwards, you know.
Your salary, has it been your salary that's dropped since the Biden administration came in office?
Just getting work. Well, I say I own my own business. The pandemic, I lost I'm a small business owner, or was, but you know, they took our business away with the COVID, and then just not making no money. I'm doing something I'm not.
In regards to, okay, obviously with the pandemic and the country being shut down and, you know, the entire supply chain going to hell and back, that happened under Trump. Are you feeling the effects in 2020 when Trump was in office? Were you feeling those effects as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Because I couldn't make 150 grand a year again. I mean, anymore.
Yeah. So your pain has actually been under both administrations then.
Yeah, but I'm not happy with neither one of them.
Okay, fair enough. Well, let me ask you this then, because it does appear as if that might be our choice again in 2024, is a pick between one of those two. So if it really came down to it and that was your only choice, who would you go with?
Well, see, I think Trump was just they shut the country down. They should have never shut the country down over this. They should. I don't think they should have ever shut the country down. They destroyed millions of families, a lot of people. You know what I mean? That'll never get that back.
So you believe the Trump administration let folks down by shutting the country down?
I think we all let ourselves down by following them, by listening to them. I think we all should have stood up as a country like, hell no, you're not going to take away over this. I mean, if you do, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see and do a little research to see that was not something that was worthy of shutting the country down.
Well, but you have the benefit of hindsight. You and I, what we're doing is what they refer to as Monday morning quarterbacking. During the actual event, you got the vast majority of the medical community on television crying and saying, I've never seen so many people dying at once. You got intensive care units with bodies on the ground in the hallways because they have nowhere to put them. So in hindsight, you're not, if you're actually going through something like that in real time, your request that the country rise up under the guise that what they're doing is wrong is not going to happen. People are not going to go against the vast majority of the medical community telling you that this is dangerous.
Yeah, but see, we've seen that on TV, but not in real life. I didn't see that in real life. I didn't see nobody around me dying, falling over like that.
How was the hospitals in your area, the television stations in your area, were they not reporting a significant increase in deaths?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it was all false.
How do you know that?
because it's out now. Everything like with the shot. The shot is a fluke. The shot is a weapon.
Okay,
You know what I
wait.
mean?
Let me stop you. And I don't ban, block, or censor it. I make it clear my audience is predominantly MAGA, so MAGA friendly. But use some synonyms, because even though I don't ban, block, or anything like that, I can't control what TikTok does. So LGBT issues and the vaccine, the fucking social media platform itself can be really testy. So try to use a few synonyms. Say what you want to say. I'm not going
I
to
got
stop
you.
you, but understand
I
that
got you.
the damn app is crazy. Go ahead.
All right, but yeah, just I've done a lot of research and just a lot of video. I've had a lot of time on my hands. I mean, I put a lot of hours on this phone. I've been down so many rabbit holes. You know, I had to tie a rope to my ass. You know what I mean? So I can find my way back out. You know,
So
and
I
go
got
ahead.
one. How do you respond? K Hawk in the comments. Direct response to you. I had 11 family members die due to COVID. What the hell is he saying? How do you respond to people like that? Even though you're suggesting you've seen really nothing significant around you, how do you respond to so many Americans who did know a hell of a lot of family members, co-workers, and friends and associates pass away from this illness?
Well, I mean, what was their lifestyle like? Their health wise, was they getting what was the doctors doing to them when they was at the hospital? Because there's that the only thing that they got that's FDA approved to treat COVID is what was Venivir or something like that, and that's killing people. That's
Okay.
poison.
Well, but you would agree that COVID was a brand new illness. So the expectation that they should have immediately known how to properly treat it when it's something they've never heard of, you would expect them to make a few errors, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah. And like I said, I'm not taking nothing from anybody. Anybody that lost their family members, that's a sad situation. You know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, nothing adds up now. It's like who do you can't like you don't know what to believe anymore. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I'm walking around looking at the world, don't look the same. You know what I mean? It just don't. It's
So
just weird.
let me ask you this question, and you can give me whatever answer you want. I invite your opinion, regardless if I agree or not. If you were commander in chief, you're the president, and you got Dr. Fauci or the FDA or the CDC, any of these organizations, the World Health Organization, the WHO, and they're telling you it's an airborne illness, and simply putting large groups of people together who are doing the natural act of breathing could result in mass sickness and casualties. What would you do? Would you continue to lead a country open to save the economy?
See, I guess I mean I don't know. I mean you got people pumping in your ear. I guess you want to do the right thing. Hey, he didn't know what to do. They was coming from him every angle and every which way but loose. You know. I
Well,
don't
wait
know.
a minute. If they're telling you it's an airborne illness, and if people are huddled together, they can get sick from breathing. I don't think it's a
Oh,
matter
I would
of you
shut it
not
down. I would
knowing
have to
what to
shut it
do.
down. Yeah, I'd have to shut it down. You're absolutely
Okay.
right. Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
So, in other words, even though we started the conversation off with you saying that Trump and Biden let the country down by shutting the nation down and ruining the economy, ultimately you agreed that if you were in their position, you would have did the same thing.
I guess. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And that's all I'm trying to point out is that we are able to have the ability to Monday morning quarterback and look back in hindsight and say that what
Right.
they did may have been premature or wrong. But I'm just telling you, based on what we're discussing here, these men were in the trenches. They did not have all the information we have now. They had to go with what was being presented to them. Fair
Yeah.
point? All
Fair
right.
point.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
absolutely.
All right. And I appreciate you being candid. Listen, I got to move it on. Come on
Hey,
back
have a
through
good one,
anytime.
buddy. God bless you
Is
and
this our
have a
first
good
time
day.
talking? First time
Yeah, it
talking?
is.
All right.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. Don't be a stranger. Come on back through anytime, man.
All right, take it easy, buddy.
You too. You too. All right. Good talk. All right. Looking in the comments. Know anything. Internet may be a little choppy because I see it's breaking up here. I apologize. Ain't a lot I can do with that. You do not shut down the economy. We will react differently next time. Wade, Ward, Law. That is absolutely not true. You're suggesting that you don't shut down the damn economy. Next time this happens, we will react differently. No, you don't know that. You do not know what the next illness will be. You do not know who the next commander-in-chief will be. If you leave the country open to preserve the economy and your death numbers are ridiculous, you're going to get voted out of office for putting money above life and limb. Period. So you can't say that next time we'll do things differently because you don't know what the next illness might be. What if you find out it's simply touching people can result in death or something like that? Or what if people are dropping dead and you don't know what the hell is killing them? Remember when COVID took off, they were telling you to wash your groceries, leave them outside for 24 hours. They didn't know how this was spreading. You can't leave people going to ball games and concerts and you have no clue how they're even dying. How are you going to tell me next time under that same situation you would leave shit open? All you know is 100,000 people got together to attend a rock concert, and 2 weeks later, a quarter of them are dead. And the scientists are telling you we don't know how this got from each one of them. You're going to throw another concert? You're going to let everything be open? You're going to lose your job. Going back to the box. Appreciate you guys rolling with your boy, Big Harry. Big Harry is a friend of the program. I want to see in the comments. Big Harry,
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Loud and clear, sir. What now the question I'm actually asking though is, are you worse off now under the Biden administration than 2, 3, 4 years ago during the Trump administration?
No. And if you think you're better off with what it was like in 2020, you are delusional and playing mental gymnastics. Does everybody remember 2020? Wearing masks everywhere, staying 6 feet apart, not sure what was going to happen 1 week, 1 month. I lived in New York. I still live in New York. I live in New York City. I live in a neighborhood with a lot of hospitals, a neighborhood that got hit hard by COVID. It was literally 2 months straight. Every time I had my windows open, you heard sirens.
Okay, but how do you respond to someone from Boise, Idaho, or someone out in the middle of Florida that says, we don't live in New York City. We're not all on top of each other. We did not have the mass spreading of COVID that you may have had in New York City.
Maybe not at the beginning, but it certainly did spread everywhere, did it not?
Yeah. But
right?
Keep in mind
that wasn't 2020. That was 2019 when it was really rough on New York. Remember, Trump said everything was going to be clear by.
Let me just say this, and I'll let you continue. But Marcus Aurelius in the comments said the Feds snatching people off the street in rental vans, unmarked uniforms. Is it possible? I'm gonna present this to you, Big Harry. Is it possible that the numbers presented from COVID were not actually accurate, but rather folks being snatched off the street by the Feds and simply disappearing and being listed as this? Is that any possibility? Because I saw it in the comments.
Well, if you got evidence of that, you better go to whoever you need to go to. Go get a lawyer. Come on. They're all conspiracy
wait a minute.
Because...
You can't hire a lawyer if you're in the back of a van listening to the Feds beat the hell out of you.
Well, then how do they know that people are getting snatched up? What's their proof? What's their evidence? I want to hear the evidence.
I just had to present it. That's all. All I do is present what I'm reading.
I could say a thing was happening. That doesn't make it true. I could have wishful thinking over a thing happening. It doesn't make it true. And especially if there are legal consequences, you're going to sit back and know that people are getting snatched up and do nothing? Come on.
Well, what if they're snatched up and they're never returned back to society?
They don't have families? They don't have friends? Come on.
Well, I'm I hate to go this far down this damn rabbit hole, but just playing devil's advocate. What if they are snatched up, never to be heard from again, and their families are told that person passed away of COVID, and because they are contagious, we cannot give you access to the body? People were told that.
People were told that, but it is an incredibly out there claim, right?
Yeah, it's
Extraordinary
out there.
claims
It's
require
beyond. If that claim
extraordinary
is,
evidence.
yeah,
You're
that claim
gonna
is
tell me
beyond.
millions of people got kidnapped and no one found out about it? Like, this is the classic thing I hear from people on the right, where the government is simultaneously inept at doing anything. Can't let the government do anything, right? We can't have any socialist programs because the government will screw it up. While at the same time, they're capable of all these elaborate conspiracies, like being able to disappear millions of people without anyone figuring out, or faking 9/11. Get out of here! Like, both can't be true. The government couldn't have faked COVID and not handle universal health care. Like, it's just total
coming
cognitive
at it.
dissonance. How can the government be so efficient? People are the worst at keeping secrets. Do you know anybody who's good at keeping secrets? I don't.
Well, let me say this,
RGB
though.
Forever just said they were picking up Antifa.
Okay,
BLM.
but wait a minute.
They
Okay,
were.
let me
Police
respond.
were
Wait,
snatching people up during
hold on. Harry, hold on. You're running away with it. Let me just say this, and I hate to go this far down the rabbit hole, but in defense of folks claiming this, and by the way, this comment is not it's not just from the suburbs, it's out of the county. I've never heard of this, but I am going to say this in their defense. During World War II, what Hitler was doing to Jewish people, most of that country did not know that, which is why
I disagree. I am Jewish, and let me educate you.
Please do.
Europeans were well aware of what was happening to their Jewish neighbors. They actively participated in what was happening to
You're saying they knew they were being exterminated.
Police officers, in Germany, police officers were unaliving kids in the ghettos. That was a normal, regular thing. This is not think about how did the show start? It was with Kristallnacht. What was Kristallnacht? Was that a government force? Was that a government force going in?
Yeah.
And no, these were regular old Europeans. And we got to get rid of this narrative that everybody in Europe had no idea what was going on. It was only the top evil SS. No, people knew what was happening. And people who escaped and survived the Holocaust, some of them tried to go back. And you know what happened to them? They were unalived by their former neighbors. You should read the book. You should read some Holocaust books, some accounts of Holocaust.
Okay,
well, I'll give you something that really happened.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Well, I will certainly give you the win on that if there is a win or lose. I don't really come here to win with the guests or whatever, but I will say that I'm going to go with your point on that as an enlightening to myself. So I was taught that the people over there, for the most part, did not know what their government was doing. But if you're suggesting otherwise by mentioning Kristallnacht, which I am familiar with, I'll leave it at that. But I don't want us to get banned, so I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole.
We won't get into details, but we can all agree that it was not just government forces. It was regular old German people who also participated in this on all levels.
So what about this? What about this claim right now that the FBI is snatched? And folks in the comments said that it was also happening to Black Lives Matter protesters, that the FBI was
out there in New York. They definitely did that. But you know what happened? Every time the police snatched someone up, the whole community was in an uproar. We got videos of it happening right away. We got their families contacted right away. That's why I think this is a BS narrative, because I know people who were snatched up by the police, by unmarked police in vans. And what happened was that very immediately that people around them knew the government. Listen, the government is not that efficient where they can snatch up and disappear all those people. Nobody knows anything. Nobody leaks. Give me a break.
Fair enough. All right,
It's a
I got to move it
conspiracy
on,
theory.
Harry.
Unbelievable. And also, I want to point out, yesterday
Sure,
when
real
I
quick.
tried talking about the deplorable conditions at Rikers Island here in New York, your viewers mass reported and banned me. I appealed the ban. I'm out of here. So I really again encourage you to check out the inhumane conditions happening at Rikers Island, because clearly people don't want you to hear about them. So much so
Yeah.
that they will mass report and try to get me banned. But I'm back.
All
Y'all
right.
can't silence
All
me.
right. All right, man. Catch you on the next one. Okay, and I do gotta look that up. He's suggesting that Rikers the jail, not the prison. I believe Rikers Island is a jail. The atrocities there are so bad that folks are losing their lives to the tune of at least one inmate per month. So I have been meaning to look that up. Now, what he is saying about Rikers Island, I don't believe that actually is that surprising. It's just a matter of how bad the atrocities are in that particular institution, say, compared to some of the other ones. We all know that the way inmates are treated while incarcerated in America is horrendous. As a society, we are so hell-bent on revenge for the crimes they have committed that we generally do not care. How often do you hear people say, for a guy that has committed a crime, I hope they do more damage to you or hurt you when you're in there? We are a vengeful society. So that's probably why he is alluding to the fact that folks are speaking out against him for speaking out against what's taking place in that penal institution. Because if you do try to make our institutions, correctional facilities, more humane, you're going to get pushback from politicians, certainly right-wingers, and many people alike. We want our system to be as harsh as possible. When Sheriff Joe Arpaio out in Phoenix made the inmates wear pink, made them sleep out in tents in the hot Arizona sun and dehumanized the hell out of them, most of America cheered that on. So it wouldn't surprise me if what they're doing in Rikers Island is as bad as he's saying, but I don't think you're going to get a lot of support to change it. Our system, our country wants people who are incarcerated to be treated inhumanely. Ian, I believe that says Ian Galloway. And let me see, why haven't any NT for Black Lives Matter been arrested? I don't know if that's true. Ian, good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Have you been listening into the? Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been listening for quite a bit of time. Thank you for letting me in, and thank you for joining the. I'm Canadian. I'm just thank you guys for joining the effort to, as we love our freedom. You're loving your freedom down the States. We love our freedom here. We love our. You know, I was just over in England. Love our freedom there, and that's all that Ukraine wants. I just want to take the lady that was talking about, well, we shouldn't be giving billions of dollars to Ukraine when people are hurting here. Well, here's the scenario I'd like to throw by. We take away all of, we're not giving them billions of dollars, by the way. We're giving them a lot of equipment. And every free country in the world is helping out, not just the United States. So,
well, you would agree though that the vast majority of assistance going to Ukraine is coming from the United States, though, right?
Yeah, I mean they got more skin of the game because Russia targets the United States more than it does any other country.
You know something, I would actually disagree with that. While I do believe America and Russia are big adversaries, if Russia is going to attack someone, take over somebody's country, it's going to be Romania or some of those countries in that area. They are in far more danger from any Russian aggression than the United States will ever be.
Well, yeah, I would agree that Putin has got some kind of Messiah complex, and he wants to expand. And you know what? It kind of echoes of make America great again, to make Russia great again, to take back all of the countries that were taken away after Russia fell, I think in 1998. But
Do you think that? Do you believe that? Do you believe that trying to reestablish the Soviet Union is what Russia is trying to do right now?
yep, absolutely. I think that there's an extreme sense of nationalism. I have been to Russia, and they are an incredibly proud people, proud of their part of the country. They don't like that they keep quiet about their system.
Okay,
And I just
let me ask you this question from a devil's advocate side of the fence. If you were in control of Russia and NATO, being your number one adversary, was trying to expand its territory literally right up to your doorstep, how would you respond as the leader of Russia?
Well, I wouldn't invade a non-NATO country to alienate
Okay.
the rest of the world against me, and to basically it backfired on them because NATO became stronger. They've got Sweden and Finland now as part of NATO. So at some point, there's a place where, you've seen this with demagogues and dictators all over the world. They'll sacrifice their people for their sense of grandeur and to make their country great again. I think that,
Okay, but wait a minute. Hang on. You told me what you wouldn't do, but you didn't respond to what you would do. So I'll rephrase it. Let's say Russia came to North America and changed the government in Canada to a pro-Russian government, and then began getting the government of Canada that was now pro-Russian to talk about joining the Soviet Union, meaning that at America's northern border would be a Soviet bloc country. How do you think America would respond to the Soviet Union literally being on our northern border? How do you think we would respond?
they'd be awfully concerned. I mean, it's hypothetical. It's not going to happen, but they would be concerned. But I mean, Russia does not present as the cowering coward in a corner with the rest of the world bullying them. They are aggressively trying to usurp other countries and to expand their philosophy into other countries.
Okay, but I'm not sure you've given me an adequate description of what you would do if NATO was expanding right to your border. You said you wouldn't attack the country. I get what you would not do, but what would you do with NATO expanding right there to your doorstep? What would you do?
I would seek some kind of a détente, some kind of a perestroika, an agreement that we stand down. I think that's what the whole world is waiting for.
Okay, and the response I would give you is that you do realize that Russia did seek that and was given that several presidential administrations ago here in America. When the Soviet Union disbanded and we talked Ukraine into getting rid of their Soviet era nukes, Russia was promised at that time that that NATO would not expand any further east towards their nation. And every American president since that promise has did exactly that, which is continued to push NATO closer and closer to Russia. Now, I'm not defending the invasion of the Ukraine. However, I just want to point out that it does not happen unprovoked. We have been slowly but surely breaking the promise we made to Russia and expanding NATO, and up to this point, literally right on their doorstep.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is going to be, because I think that we've been on the doomsday clock for a long time, but we've tried to ignore it. And we're living under this kind of when we see something like what's happening in Ukraine, it gets us a little nervous as somebody could flip a switch. And Putin is talking about talking about using nukes and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, the world should be concerned. I just, like I said, I think America is going to make their alliances and coalitions with the people who are going to support free democracy. Russia is going to align themselves with countries that are more totalitarian or fascist or dictatorial, like Iran and Iraq.
How do you view the claim that a large portion of the Ukrainian population were pro-Russian? A lot of them actually speak Russian and had dual citizenship. And the United States actually helped overturn the Ukrainian government to install a pro-US government, and then started beginning to have talks with them about becoming members of NATO. How do you view that?
I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm actually going to have coffee with a kid. I'm a retired social worker. Kid that is a caseload is Ukrainian. He speaks fluent Russian, and a lot of Ukrainians speak fluent Russian. There is a divide, just like there's a difference between, Texas and Boston, even the accents. There's a difference between the west of Ukraine and the east of Ukraine. And it's like Istanbul. Istanbul is the only city in the world on two continents, Europe and Asia. But there's two very distinct places. But I think that the cry is that they do want to be free. If they do want to have a plebiscite, if they do want to have elections and vote to be with Russia, then there should be a free and fair election that has has people. You can't hold an election while tanks are rolling down the middle of your street, and so I think that after you got to start settling down and say we'll listen to the will of the people. If people want to side with Russia, if people want a Russian enclave, like I said, I'm up in Canada, and Quebec is a very distinct society with their own language, and we live in quite a harmonious relationship. There are some battles once in a while and some language issues, but we work it out. And I think the same thing could happen with Ukraine. You could have Ukrainian people who are, like I said, many of them speak fluent Russian, and so they could have an allegiance to Russia if they wanted to, because Quebec has a historic allegiance to France. Most of their
okay. All right. Well, I mean, it's still playing out, but listen, I do got to move the program on, but it is still playing out. And maybe if the administration here in the United States changes in 2024, we may see a whole different direction, but I got to move it on. You're always welcome back.
Yes, I really appreciate it.
All right. Appreciate that. In the comments, many are pro-Russian, and that's the problem. Now, keep in mind, even if the United States were to be invaded today by, say, North Korea, Iran, Russia, or any of our adversaries, there would be no shortage of people in this country that would be in favor of helping those nations. We have had everything from African Americans fighting on the side of the Confederates to modern times, Americans literally going to the Middle East to fight on behalf of Al-Qaeda and ISIS. So there are always going to be people fighting against their own best interests. Anytime I bring up the Confederate flag debates all the time, people bring up that there were black Confederates. And that's always my pushback is, what the hell did an African American fighting on behalf of the Confederates in the Civil War think that he was fighting for? If the Confederates had won, what did he think? He was going to get a free house and land? It was not going to go well. So people do fight for things that are not in their best interest. Do you think we can beat China in a war, says Mike Davis? Wow. It depends on how far the war goes. um, when you talk about the fact that these countries now have atomic weapons, I gotta bring up what was it called? MAD, mutually assured destruction. If America and China has an all-out war, I don't think there will be enough left for whoever survives to refer to it as a victory. If you see what happened in movies like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, do you call that being victorious? If you go from living in a plush area like New York or Florida or somewhere, and suddenly everything looks like the Mojave Desert, is that something to jump up and down and celebrate? Whole areas of the country, say for instance, you can't drive from Cleveland to Paducah, Kentucky because that entire swath of the country is radioactive. Is that really a victory? So I would just say that in an all-out war, mutually assured destruction would probably be the best way to describe it. There is no victory that is worthy of celebrating. All right, going back to the box. Marshall Collins. They would get a mayo sandwich. I don't know what that means, but it sounds humorous. Marshall, good evening. Good afternoon.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm in the trenches. Asking the original question, are you worse off under the Biden administration than you were 2, 3, 4 years ago?
Well, I got a couple subjects to touch on because I've been listening for a little while here.
Let me hear.
I'm gonna say 100% yes. Under the Biden administration, and I'm not gonna speak for me because I do have a good job, so I can't really speak for myself. But I can speak for the lower class families that can't pay their bills, that can't do anything because of the rise of inflation and the jobs that they're not getting, and their wages are staying the same with the inflation going up. So yes.
What do you wait? Now I got a counter for two reasons. First of all, you said the jobs that they're now getting. You got so many employers out here claiming that they're having a hard time even filling all of the openings. And then you said because their wages are not rising with inflation. Wages have undoubtedly went up, particularly for the people at the bottom under the Biden administration. What part of the country are you in?
So you saying $15 an hour is good enough to pay for a rent that's risen up to $1,800 to $2,600 a month? So $15 an hour is going to pay that?
And that's why I asked you what part of the country you're in, because rent is not that.
I live in Florida.
Okay.
I live in Florida.
All right.
So what I'm saying is that the Biden administration said they wanted to raise damn, I can't, it's on the tip of my tongue. They wanted to raise it up to $15 an hour. But
right.
$15 an hour does not pay the rent that has risen sky high down here in Florida. Okay. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I pay $2,600 a month for my 2-bedroom apartment.
Okay, so let me ask you this. You said that, you're pointing out that rents have risen, and Biden is trying to raise the wages. Your Governor DeSantis, how do you think he feels about trying to raise the minimum wage as well? Because that's something you normally would do on a state level.
I mean, I don't know what DeSantis is doing about all that because I really haven't paid no attention. I'm just paying attention to what's going on around and where I live at and what's going on with the rents. Like I said, I pay $26 for a 2-bedroom. If I was making $15 an hour, and I'm just going to go with the Biden administration's wages, if I was making $15 an hour, even $20 an hour, that would be hard for me to do, to pay the $2,600, to pay the gas prices that has went sky high, to pay the inflation. Like when you used to be able to go get eggs for $3 a dozen, now you're paying $6 a dozen for eggs. So it's just I'm just using that as an example, but I'm just saying the inflation has went sky high. It's just not matching up. So if you went with the Trump administration, there was no inflation with the Trump administration. I know everybody wants to compare 2020. Let's really be honest here. Trump was only in office for 19 days in 2020. So we can't even compare that administration to 2020. No. What do you
mean? Wait. What do you mean he was only in office for 19 days? You mean 2021? He got inaugurated. Biden got inaugurated as president in January of 2021.
Yeah,
Trump
my
was
fault. I'm sorry.
president.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, you're right about that.
Okay.
When y'all want to compare 2020, I meant to say that when y'all want to compare 2020, whenever the COVID-19 hit, he wasn't shutting down the country, and then he was being faulted for not shutting down the country, and then when he shuts down the country, he's being faulted for shutting down the country. So it was a double standard there. He's living on a double-edged sword right there,
That's every
and I don't.
president, though.
No, and exactly. A president is basically the fall person, no matter how you want to look at it.
Yeah.
But if you look at 2016, 2017, and 2018 underneath the Trump administration,
Well, 2016
not
was all of
2016,
Obama.
2017.
Yeah.
Yeah, Obama was 2016. When you look under 2017 to 2018 with Trump, the country was going so well. There was nobody was hurting. Nobody was hurting from anything.
Okay, how do you respond to folks who suggest that the economy was going well under Trump his first 2 years because he inherited a great economy from Obama? How do you respond to that?
I think everybody's blinded by Obama. Obama really didn't do nothing for the country, to be honest. I mean, I liked him in his first term. I actually did vote for him in the first term. The second term, I didn't vote for him. I don't think he really did anything, to be honest.
Okay,
You name one good thing that he did. And
the
you say
economy.
Obamacare,
The economy. I'll give it to you. Obama was inaugurated as president in January of 2009. If you look at the economy in January of 2009, when Obama took office, and you look at the same economy numbers in January of 2017, when he handed it off to Trump, there is no denying things had got better in this country.
but if you look at the numbers that Trump put out, there is no denying that he was a better president.
Well, but now you went from Obama didn't do anything to Trump is a better president. We can debate who was the best.
Me personally do not think Obama did anything. That's me. I don't think he did anything. That's me personally.
Okay, well, I just gave you his economic numbers. I mean, if you don't want to give him credit for it, that's fine. But if you look at the economy from the time Obama took office to the time he left, you know, when Obama took office, I believe we were in a housing crisis. It was pretty bad when he became president.
We was in a bad situation when Obama took office.
Yeah. We were not in that same poor situation when he handed the country over to Trump.
I guess it just depends on who you ask on that.
You think we were in a housing crisis in 2017 when he gave
I didn't say a housing situation. I didn't say a housing crisis. I just said it depends on who you ask on.
Were we in a fair enough. So do you think we were in a housing crisis when Obama took the presidency?
We definitely was definitely in a bad spot when Obama took office. I will say that 100%. 2008 is when the housing market crashed. So
so you can clearly see, even by your own statements, you can clearly see the housing crisis with no interruptions. You can see it clear as day when Obama became president. But when he left the office, you don't see it clearly anymore. That's going from your own testimony. You're making it clear that you can see at least some benefit from Obama being president.
There was some, you know what? Let me say it like this here. There was some good things that he did do. I will.
Okay,
I will
now
say
we're progressing. We're progressing. Okay. What about the Universal Care Act?
What happened?
What about the Universal Care Act? You don't see any benefit at all with universal health care?
Well, when you say that, whenever I tried to get because at that time I was actually working on a 1099, so I was basically working for myself. I was basically working for myself. And when I got health insurance, I was still paying a little over $600 a month for health insurance. So it really didn't help me any that was supposed to help.
How do you feel? How do you feel about? Okay, fair. How do you feel about the loss of life for Bin Laden?
You know, that's another that was automatic. That was already being done underneath the president before that. I mean, it happened under Obama's watch. I get that, but they was already on top of him before Obama took office. So I mean, of course, if you take office and something happens underneath you, you get to take credit for it. Correct?
Do you remember the day that bin Laden was killed and it was announced?
Yeah, I remember the day that he was killed and it was
Okay.
announced. I
And the
mean,
reason I'm asking you that,
everybody in the
okay.
U.S. should.
All right. The reason I'm asking you that is because Obama came out on the red carpet and said, on my orders, meaning that he gave the order to kill bin Laden. Now, you're saying it was already under wraps. And the reason I'm going in that direction is because it is I won't say a fact because I don't have the knowledge of knowing, but it's a huge rumor that Bill Clinton had Osama bin Laden in the crosshairs years ago and gave the order not to kill the guy. So the point I'm trying to make is that even though you're suggesting, so the point I'm trying to make is that even though you're suggesting it was already in the works before Obama became president, at the end of the day, he still had the order to vote yes or no on whether making it happen.
100%.
So does he deserve credit for that?
Yes,
Right.
100%. He gave the order for him to be killed. 100%. I'm not denying that. I'm not saying that that he didn't give the order or that he shouldn't. I'm saying that the hunt for bin Laden was already on before Obama came into office. They already was tracking Obama before or tracking bin Laden before Obama took office. Now, when Obama took office and they found him, yes, Obama did give the order to kill him, and you are correct. He gave the order, but he gets to take the credit for it, and that's good. I mean, that's good for him. But at the end of the day, they was already on bin Laden's track before Obama took office.
Well, but you gotta admit they were looking and tracking bin Laden probably the last 2 or 3 presidents in office. So I get your point, but at the end of the day, he got killed under Obama's watch based on Obama's orders. That is something that Obama should get credit for, right?
I don't think. I think after 9/11, the hunt for Obama was more serious than it was before 9/11, to be honest with you. Everybody knew that he was a terrorist, yes. But after 9/11 happened and he claimed that 9/11 attack, the Bush administration made it bluntly clear that they was going to seek out the bin Laden.
Yeah, but let me explain this and by the way, folks, tap the screen, get your board to 15,000 likes. MAGA patriots and liberals alike in here, tap the damn screen, 15,000 likes. I asked for that. Let me give it to you this way. Obviously, we found bin Laden hiding out in Pakistan, a sovereign nation that we had no legal right to be in. So for that particular mission, that had nothing to do with they were already tracking him before Obama came in office. That mission had to be set up and approved. Clearly stated, listen, we got to dramatically talk to the Pakistanis before we invade their country. What Obama did was quite heroic. He went into a country that has a significant air force. In fact, they have nuclear weapons in Pakistan and got this guy. That is something that was no other president was working on. That happened all under Obama. You don't give him credit for any of that.
Of course he's going to get credit for it. I'm not taking the credit away from him.
What about you? Do you give him credit for it?
He gets I give him credit for pulling the trigger. I give him credit for that.
Okay.
Of course. 100%.
Do you give him credit? Do you give him credit for putting together that Pakistani mission?
Like you said earlier, Bill Clinton had the chance to do it. He didn't do it. But for Obama to pull the trigger, yeah, he gets credit for that. I'm not saying that he's not going to get credit for pulling the trigger because another president had a chance to pull the trigger and he didn't. I give you that.
Okay.
And yes, he does. So, he does get credit for invading Pakistan without doing everything that you just talked about. Yeah, I give him credit for that too.
Okay, so we've made some progress here. We made progress.
I'm fair on both sides.
Okay. Well, originally, Marshall, originally you stated Obama did nothing good for the country. Now we've gotten you to at least say 3 different things were beneficial. So we've made some progress. I'm
But
sure
you
if we
got
talked a little bit
you have
longer,
a
we could do it. Go
you
ahead.
have an 8-year span though for 3 things. So I mean,
Okay.
again, I'm not
I,
gonna look things that Obama did. I'm not gonna discredit him for the things that he did that
all
was
right.
good for the country. I'm not gonna discredit him for that.
Okay. Well,
What I'm saying
you
is
were though. You were in the beginning of the conversation stating that Obama did nothing. Now you're up to 3 things in 10 minutes of conversation. We're making progress, whether you realize it or not. We are making progress.
hey man, I tell you what, you pointed out a few things that I do agree with
All
you.
right.
Again, I'm fair with both sides. I'm not look.
Okay.
I'm not. There, when you talk left and right, there's liberals and there's rights, whatever. At the end of the day, there's dishonesty on the right and there's dishonesty on the left. So you're not really going to know who's right and who's wrong in the situation because of how the government really is. And
Right.
I feel 100% the government keeps all of us divided from each other
I don't
because
disagree with that.
if you take and if you take black people and white people and you let them stop seeing color and you let the racism go away and everybody becomes one, we the people now become stronger than the government. And
Fair point. Fair point.
that's what the government fears, is that we become one. And
All
if we
right.
become one, that means we're stronger than them, and they fear that. And
Well,
so that's why I
perhaps one
say
day we'll make that happen. I got to move it
it,
on though, but I get your point. Perhaps one day that will be the way we will head in this country. But right now, we gotta work with what we got, man. Come on back through anytime though.
oh yeah, for sure.
All right, appreciate it. Good talk. Let me look at the. You brought up Obama, Stephen. Okay. Real quick here. I'm just looking in the comments. You call yourself a fair. Please, dude, hang up. He wants to become one with Trump. Listen, I just wanted to talk to the gentleman because he was stating that Obama did nothing. And as you saw in a short 10 minutes or so, he was able to at least concede 3 different things that Obama did well. I tend to believe if I spoke to the gentleman a little bit longer, I could get a few more things, but I wanted to give him some of Obama's greatest. I'm asking because if you're going to give credit while in president, then you can blame people. I don't get what you're saying. The government is supposed to work for the people and no profit off policies. That ain't gonna happen. DJ Fly Guy. Let's move it on. DJ Fly Guy in the box. Welcome back to the program, DJ Fly. Always welcome. What's going on, DJ?
Not much, man. Hey, hold on 1 second. Don't hang me up. I'm talking to my wife real fast. But
I'll give you a few seconds. I don't want to. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Do your thing. Do your thing. Looking in the comments. Let me see here.
I'm here, Hampton.
I wish
I'm
I
here.
could go bankrupt and bounce back. I'm assuming that's a direct response to Trump. First Watch said, I wish I could go bankrupt and bounce back. Actually, you can. How many Americans have filed bankruptcy and got their finances back on track? All right, DJ, are you with us?
Yes, sir. I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. All right. What's on your mind this afternoon?
No, just answering your question, man. I'm a whole lot worse off, man.
In what areas? Give me some examples.
Well, I made a donation to the Trump team in an amount of $500, and he kept taking money out my account for about 2 months, and now I'm about 20. I'm about $20,000 short now, and I can't get my money back. So I'm about $20,000 short, man. I need to get my money back from Trump, man. I got to.
Okay, you caught me off. You caught me off guard with that. That shit's funny as hell. So in other words, I would have been doing better had I never donated any money to the Trump administration, because they won't stop taking money
Yeah,
from me.
yeah, man. All my life savings just went out the window, man. $20,000. I was just trying to give him 500, but he took 20 grand for me
But you
just
are
every month. He took
helping. But you are helping with that money. You're helping make America great again, and you're helping stop the steal. Don't you think your money is going to good use?
Yeah, that's what I keep trying to tell them libs, man. They keep I'm making America great, and if he want to keep taking my money without permission, then I give him permission. And the FBI is just against him. Everybody is just against him, and I don't know what's wrong with these people, but Trump 2024.
Okay. DJ, you never disappoint. Oh, that was funny as hell. I didn't expect you. I did not expect you to go into that area. That was you definitely came out of left field with that shit. That was funny as hell. So, but being real, if I can stop laughing at that shit, being real, how are you doing in the Biden administration as opposed to the previous administration under Trump?
Well, not too much of a difference, man, because I'm always a working man. I've always had 2 or 3 jobs, and I'm things are just trying to get back to normal, without us having mask mandatory and I keep hearing people saying the economy is shitty, but I still see people buying stuff and spending on Amazon and buying cars and all kind of stuff. So I don't know what they're talking about, but as far as
What
investments,
about because I hear folks, at least coming from the right, state that Biden is dividing the country. What about unity in this country as a whole? You think that's gotten worse under Biden or better?
I don't know, man, because I don't know. I see people fighting all the time. You see what I'm saying? And I don't think it's ever been this serious. I really don't. I mean, you got people fighting out in the streets over the president, and flags and walking up in people's yard and pulling down signs and like we ain't never had that in this country, man. We ain't never had that,
You make a good point because even with Obama being the first African American president, I don't remember hearing about people going in yards and tearing down Obama signs. And there obviously were Obama signs everywhere. Now, the Trump presidency, folks certainly were taking down signs, but I would have to ask you, does that mean the liberals are hostile and incapable of accepting a leader that's not their own? Because most of the signs being taken down were Trump signs by liberals.
Well, I mean, if that's what they doing, I mean, that's they dumbass. Yeah, I mean, they could be. Yeah, they could be hostile people. If you go to Trump country, ain't nowhere in hell you gonna put up a Biden sign. If you go to Biden country, ain't nowhere.
And I get, well, shit, I don't know where they do put a Biden signs, to be honest with you. My
Me
area is
either. I
Kansas.
know, right?
I don't know who putting up a fucking Biden sign. Now, I know, and I live in a liberal area, and I've seen more Black Lives Matter signs, and my neighborhood is 90+% white. And I've seen more Black Lives Matter signs than I've seen signs for Biden. There's just no enthusiasm for that guy at all. But you're saying if you went into rural Alabama somewhere, straight up Trump country, and put up a Biden sign, you would have trouble. You believe that?
Yo, you might, you get ran out that country. Hell yeah. This,
Right.
but you know what though? And this is one thing I don't understand. That it's 2022, and in this country, you still have places in this country that are called what? After dark? Don't get caught after dark, or
Sunset towns. Sunset towns.
sunset time. And we have a government, state and federal, that won't do nothing about it.
Well,
So,
I guess the way I would respond is, can you prove sundown towns? I got it wrong. Can you prove the existence of a sundown town? If you sent the black person to a sundown town, can you show with absolute certainty that he would be mistreated?
Yeah, if you put a hidden camera on him somewhere, you'll see him running out of damn town. I mean, you prove it like that or something. I don't know, but you know you got truck drivers. You got truck drivers that'll tell you, do not go to this part of town this time of night. Make sure you out of there by 5 o'clock. Because
The
other
reason
than
I'm
that,
asking that is okay, fair enough. And I see folks in Vidor, Texas, and Coleman, Alabama, and naming some of the actual cities. But I will say this: there is enough money in the African American community and enough association with elite politicians that happen to be white to set up stings. If you believe Coleman, Alabama, Vidor, Texas, or some of these other towns you guys are naming, King, North Carolina, why not send in an African American under surveillance and see what happens? I mean, you can blow these towns wide open. It would not be that hard to do. There's enough money in the black community and enough affiliation with white liberal politicians to bring this to a head. You could easily get some heads rolling in those towns. Just have 5 or 6 black people walk from a 7-Eleven through a neighborhood that's all white and see what happens to them. But make sure they are being trailed, by, somebody, maybe a group of folks in a van or something like that. I mean, there's ways to blow that open. So what I'm saying is that if these towns do exist, first you got to prove it's happening, but then second of all, make some effort to turn that shit around and make sure it becomes more publicly known.
that's my point right there. I mean, if people, 'cause, it's people in the comments, like you say, they naming out these places. They
I
know
see
about
that.
these.
Sand Mountain, Tennessee. Yeah, I see it.
Sand
Sand Mountain, Tennessee. Vermont? Wait a minute. What does that say? Belly Alaska. Vermont is full of them? Fucking Bernie Sanders? Vermont? Really? There's a bunch of
we got a place. We got a place right here in North Carolina. That's right outside of Whiteville. And they tell you after 5 o'clock, don't get caught down there. Right here in North Carolina,
wow.
less than an hour away from me.
Bernie Sanders, for instance, Bernie Sanders was a civil rights. I mean, he was he got locked up and everything. He was involved in the protests and everything. For that to be happening in Vermont is really a shocker. But listen, DJ, I do gotta move it on, man. I'm on lunch break, so I gotta move it on,
Yes,
man.
sir.
I appreciate you coming through.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Sir.
catch you on the next one.
Anytime.
All right, folks. Appreciate all you guys rolling with your boy. 19,000 likes, not quite 20, but I ain't hating on that. As always, I don't ban, I don't block, I don't censor, but I am on lunch break, so I do have to terminate the live at this point. Feel free to follow the channel. This is what we typically do Monday through Friday, and certainly at 7 p.m. Central Time for you guys who did not follow the channel. And by the way, this is a MAGA-friendly audience, so if you see the name or you hear some of the callers, make no mistake about it, MAGA is the preferred callers. I allow folks to speak. I don't ban, I don't block, I don't censor. I give you plenty of time in the box to state your point. You could be any damn where you want to be on social media. And the fact that you're rolling with your boy, it's always an honor. Catch you guys tonight at 7 o'clock Central Time.